Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Tuesday, August 1st, which means the month is over. So, I got one card on the Americas account, one gold card right there, how convenient, that I can disenchant for dust. Which 50 dust is some amount, but not significant really when you need 1600 dust to get even one legendary. We get a new card back that will make our favorite. It's pretty nice. It's like a campfire theme while still going with it. I think at a certain point they're just gonna have to break away from the symbol and the stars around the center of it. Like, I think there could be a maybe 5-year anniversary reboot where they just change it a little bit. But we'll see. And what else did I get? I didn't get any card packs. And I think I got like 5 dust. So, as far as daily quests, I've been training things out. Didn't get really the best ever. I need to make Rogue and Combo happen. And since we're still in the Frost Festival... nope, not Solo Adventures. I just want to start with an arena run again. So here's Rogue. We're going to try for Rogue and Combo cards. With Hearth Arena helping us. And... we'll see what happens here. This will be interesting if we continue down this path of doing arena cards, because eventually the daily quest will have us play all 9 of the characters at least a couple of times on arena over the long haul of playing arena, and maybe eventually I'll get an understanding of which character you should pick. I imagine it is Hunter, Druid, Paladin. Those are the ones that, from what I have gathered, are the top meta characters to play. And if that's the case, then they probably are also the top arena characters to play. I'm a little disappointed today because I was hoping that the new expansion was going to come out on the 1st. Now, the way it's going, it seems kind of unlikely that the new expansion is coming out until maybe Friday, at least. It would be very odd if it was tomorrow on Wednesday or the day after on Thursday. It's certainly possible, but I don't have any real reason to believe that, which I guess that means I will be back in 3 days. But that doesn't even really help me, because if I have 3 days worth of daily quests and I'm spending the entire day doing special videos for the expansion, that just means I have more work, and I'd prefer those things not line up. If the new expansion doesn't come out on Friday, it's not likely. I think that it would come out on the weekend. So then you're back to next Monday, which is possible, certainly. Or, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, and maybe a month from now. They may very well just be slowly working our way towards the new expansion. Like, the fact that they don't announce these things and they just try to draw it out makes me suspect that they will try to draw it out completely. Now, as of last night, there was literally nothing to talk about. I was so happy with the thought that the new expansion would be today, because there was nothing. A couple of things have happened today so far that gets me a small amount of news, but not a lot. So we're, even with an arena run, I think we're looking at a short stream today. I've tried to say that before and it hasn't been the truth. It's possibly not going to be the truth here either. I still am switching between the European and Asian accounts. So there's still that to do. Either I do it when I'm streaming or I do it when people aren't looking. Let's see. Deal 1 damage, deal 2. It's dead. I'm just gonna end the turn here. I don't know particularly how to get away from doing the European and Asian account. Mostly what I'd have to do is I'd have to have a decent amount of
time for a little blood.
What would be the right one? A decent amount of gold after unlocking all one night of Karazhan, and I would want it like 3,500 extra gold on those accounts in case there ever is a solo expansion again. Let's see. Here we go. I'm going to play this and then do this and then do this
Who you want me to?
and do that.
Justice
And
is
then we'll
mine.
attack this guy for the fun of it. Yeah, I suppose we will just have to focus on those secondary accounts unless they get merged or until I have 3,500. Once I have 3,500 extra gold on there, daily quests then stop being as important as it should be. Let's see. Death rattle, restore 4 health to each hero. Alright, I will take that. And then I'll do this.
Justice is mine.
So I guess we can just go through the news right now. Chat certainly will be a heavy factor too, is just how long this stream goes. If nobody gets on chat on a Tuesday, like, okay, fine, then we'll wrap up really quickly. Maybe we'll just like if I don't feel it's a disconnect. It's a major disconnect because I know that 70, 50 to 100 people are getting on the live streams and watching them live for at least a little while. But if I don't see them on the chat, I really don't have any indication that anybody's watching. Let's see, what do we want?
Job's done.
So, yeah, I feel kind of alone when there's no chat, and that's gonna speed up the process too, as I'm trying to figure this out. I know last time that we were chatting, we're having fun. People are posting song lyrics in the chat, just singing 100 bottles of beer until they're getting timed out, and that's great. Red Phoenix also is putting first in comment on a lot of the videos that he watches. First to like and comment, because a lot of my videos don't have any comments or things. If I will, when he gets along, I will tell him he is getting flagged as spam for putting that specific phrase. I don't know why. So I'm having to go and approve every single one of his comments, which is fine. But I don't know why YouTube does that. I would think half of all the comments on YouTube are variations on the phrase first and first comment, first to like. Moving on with news, Twitch Plays PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds has already made it to 3rd place. Now I think the reason why it made it to 3rd place though is because people were helping it. I watched a small video of how the chat was controlling things, and there's no real control there that's believable. This is clearly an instance of people helping the game. Let's see. Let's attack here.
Justice
Attack
is
this.
mine.
And then the video I saw clearly showed that a player walked right up to the chat controlled character and let them kill it. But even at that, as I understand PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, you start with like 100 people, so getting a couple of kills is still probably pretty high for a game. It seems like you can win completely just by hiding and throwing a grenade at the last two people and blowing them up and winning that way. But whatever. There's been a lot of talk of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere because it is now the most non-Valve game, most played non-Valve game on Steam. So it's gotten really busy. The only thing they can do to screw it up is some of the things they've done to screw it up, in the sense that taunt. I want to play this. This is going to be interesting.
Justice is mine. I already attacked.
So this guy has the ability to give minions +1/+1. If I play this next turn and take his 6/6, he's then a 1/1 that gives everybody a +1/+1, and he becomes less of a target.
Golems are a girl's best friend.
Moving on with the news, there's this game that's been on early access on Steam since September 2014 called The Long Dark. I've heard of it. I've probably, in all honesty, heard of most games. There. Oh, it copied. Combo destroy a minion.
You are no fun.
But I don't know much about The Long Dark, and it's this early access survival horror thing that's supposed to have a story in it, but the story mode hasn't come out yet. And it's one of these games, there's tons of games that I see because I'm getting news where it's like, yeah, I heard that game was coming out, and then you never hear anything more about it. Let's see. Let's do this one. And I suppose either I take 6 damage.
Justice is mine.
Yeah, let's take the victory here. Nice. So, The Long Dark is getting a live-action movie, which you would think, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. And then it kind of makes more sense because it's by the Resident Evil producer, Jeremy Bolt, who has made the Resident Evil movies. The reason, as I understand it, and then I guess this goes right in the rumor category, is the main actress in the Resident Evil series is married to either the director or the producer of that movie, and so they're giving her a vehicle to be in movies, and the Resident Evil movies are fun schlock, I suppose would be the right phrase. They're not good movies, certainly, but I imagine for people who really don't care about video games, they go in them and they think, oh, this is just one of those awful movies. I think
Side effects.
the Blizzard wouldn't let the Resident Evil producer or director or writer make Warcraft for the fear that it would be too cheesy and bad looking. And in the end, I don't think that really solved anything, because Warcraft still had less success than they probably would have wanted. Although I think Warcraft probably succeeded a lot in international airings, because it's less language based, less Americanized when you're doing a fictional thing like that. Let's see, this
protects me.
this this in the turn. So I'm expecting that The Long Dark will eventually come out as a movie, and most gamers even won't know that it's based on a video game. It might be a movie tie-in. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of gamers think that The Long Dark video game is just advertisement for the movie. The name itself is probably a pretty good name. The story, whatever story there actually is, could be just about anything. It could be a vampire movie with a name like The Long Dark. It could be
I love omelets. Don't mess with
if I do this, it will immediately kill that.
This might sting. I fight.
Well played.
you looking at me.
But I've got 5 guys on the field, none of which are that important.
Like to play with fire?
Cast a spell, do 1 damage to all minions. That's half of mine gone. Then he plays a coin, and then that's the other half of them gone. Don't talk too much about emulators, but the Dolphin emulator has introduced a new mode called Uber Shaders, and there's also a hybrid mode that you can use, where the games that run on GameCube and Wii U that before would lag a lot as the emulator was trying to make shaders for the GPU that were needed. Now it's going to preemptively make those shaders, so there is no lag,
Justice is mine.
which is good. There is one issue I personally have here, is that I think you're gonna need a pretty good video card. Unlike RetroPie, which is what I'm looking to build, which emulates really old games up to Nintendo 64 at best, and I'm not even fully confident that the Nintendo 64 emulations will work, be playable at all. Doing a GameCube or Wii U game is going to require a real graphics card and real processors versus Raspberry Pi 3 that's just barely 600 megahertz chip with GPU built in. You're talking probably you're going to need something in the 900 series, like a 960, 970 at least, would be my guess, without even checking. How much health does this guy have? 9? Or 2? I cannot read that. We'll just see what happens here.
My shield for Argus.
It is 9. Wow. How did it get so high? Spells. He has tentacles +2 +8. Oh.
It's boom o'clock.
So yeah, that's out there for people just playing on their computer. It will be no problem. For people with less things, they'll have to go in the hybrid mode. If you're trying to run the Dolphin emulator on the Raspberry Pi, which I'm not even sure the Dolphin emulator is included in the RetroPie packages. I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't.
Behold, the might of Stormwind.
Not that you couldn't go install it, but do I want to do this? A BioWare veteran named Corey Gasper has died. Now they're not saying why, and he's in Canada, so I imagine maybe a suicide, maybe something else embarrassing. Maybe they just have more privacy laws in Canada on reporting. He was the lead designer of Anthem, so that'll probably affect Anthem. I don't think Anthem's out yet. When your lead designer dies, that's going to affect the mentality of everybody else working there. He didn't look particularly old. He's not one of the first generation video game creators who was 60, 70, 80 years old and dying of old age. He looked like a 40-year-old. So that kind of sucks. The sales are up 5.4% for the Sony's games division, up to $348 billion, which is good news for the Sony's games division. I did put here as a reference, though, how much the budget for the Emoji Movie was, because I was certainly talking that maybe the Emoji Movie would be the end of Sony in general, the larger company, and the budget was $50 million, and I assume that a lot of that was advertising. That includes advertising, so you're talking a factor that's really off there. It seems unlikely that that is going to be the one thing. However, that being said, it's not completely unheard of to... I should have not played that, actually. That maybe this was the last 50... The Emoji Movie was the last 50 million that broke the straw that... It was the straw that broke the camel's back. Maybe, maybe not. And that is Sony Games Division versus Sony Pictures Division, which may not even be the same company, come to think of it, but I think it still is. So, but as far as the video game division, this shows that Sony is making more money, which is good. Hopefully it's not up 5.4% because they've allowed a bunch of garbage onto their PlayStation Network, which that is possible that is exactly the case. But when you have that split where one division does well and the other divisions don't do well, there is potential for an actual split, and that's what we'd like to see. We'd like to see Sony Games be its own company and have more control and have more money actually stay within Sony Games division so that they can work on making a PlayStation 5 and making more licensing and publishing more games for Sony, instead of having money funneled out of the games division to Sony Pictures or Sony Corporate, or just a pocketbook of the CEO of Sony in general. Slime Rancher is out of early access. People were asking last time about Slime Rancher, whether I'd heard of it. I've heard of it, and now it's out of early access, and that's inherently one of the many reasons why I don't play a lot of games, is that people have already played Slime Rancher, already been hyped about that game on YouTube, and months and months ago. I remember at least 4 or 5 months ago people were playing Slime Rancher in early access. Now that it's out of early access, nobody's going to be playing it. Very few. And that's what the point where I would want to play it. It's the point where I should feel like I should be critical of the game in general. Like, it seems a little unfair to give extra coverage to a game when it comes out in early access and then treat it with kids' gloves because it's in early access and not be critical of it, and then wait 3 months for it to be finished and then re-criticize it. That's too much coverage for one game. First of all, it's being led around by the nose by the game developers. Like, I look at myself as a critic of finished games. If somebody else out there wants to be a critic of unfinished games, fine. You can be a historian, you can criticize unfinished games all you want. At that point, you probably should just be a developer. If you're going to be a critic of unfinished games. Let's see.
I love omelets.
There's a new Nintendo Switch update that fixes the battery charging light, which apparently the battery charging light wasn't updating when you were charging. I'm not sure if it really affects charging anywhere. It doesn't sound to me like there's an actual issue with charging that Nintendo is at least admitting to. Cost less.
I'm not ready.
And I have to do this, I suppose.
Justice is mine.
What's this dude? 211 Raptors?
Don't touch
No
me
thanks.
there. Job's done.
House Party is back on Steam with permanent black bars that can be made unpermanent by a simple patch that you can get off of Steam. So that's what Honey Pop did too. If that's how Steam wants to do it, I suppose while Steam is learning how to do it the right way, this is the solution. I guess it just goes to say that people making games for Steam should automatically put black bars and self-censor on the Steam version, and then just put a patch on it. A simple patch people can download if they don't want the patch. None of the story was really changed or anything. It's still a stupid game in my opinion, but that's kind of it. That's kind of all you can say about it. Is it was off for a little while and now it's back on.
This is our town, scrub.
Yeah, beat it.
EA has confirmed that BioWare Montreal is merging with EA Motive, so anytime there's a merger, there's gonna be redundancy, so they're firing people, but they're calling it a merger because it is a merger. But like, one bigger office means one less project is gonna be worked on, I suppose. It's never something as simple as, oh, we're just putting everybody in the same building. If you go through all the paperwork to merge, it is that BioWare is being wound down to focus on less and less, which makes sense.
The light protects me.
Destroy a minion.
Job's done.
But we will see what happens. And then see, I'm almost out of news now. There's an ex-THQ executive, and THQ's been out of business for a while, named Denny Bilson, or maybe Benny Bilson. Maybe I wrote that down wrong. He's taking a lead role at the University of South California's Games Programming Division. So, lead role doesn't say too much, honestly, but I suspect it might be the best he can get without having any real seniority. And let's see, if we do this and
justice is
this,
mine.
this,
I fight.
we'll just attack with this.
Job's
There.
done.
So this is probably a good thing. It's probably not the greatest thing that a executive from a company that totally ruined their company by overspending is now going to be teaching programming and making of games to the future of video game programming. Like the one lesson that one would hope he would have learned himself and teaches is to not overspend on advertising. But it probably in more general terms is better for the industry, because I imagine that there's a lot of video game programming classes getting taught by a lot of people that have never been in the industry, have no idea what they're teaching. In fact, I don't even really have to imagine, because I've been in programming classes where teachers don't know anything about programming at all, and because of that they teach it wrong. They don't care. They just hand out very simplistic assignments, and it leaves this disconnect where you pass 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 classes in programming and you feel like you can program, and then you enter the industry and they're using completely different languages, they're doing way more complicated things, and there's just still a huge gap to learn there, which, like, you would hope that by the time you get out of college you would be prepared and ready to enter the video game industry, and I'm not sure you really are. How do we want to do this? Let's see, this and this
Justice
and
is
this.
mine.
I did this wrong. I did that wrong, but whatever. I think I'll still win. There's a Chinese Souls-like game coming to the West called Sinner Sacrifice for Redemption. It's coming in first quarter 2018, I believe, for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. It's always nice to see a Chinese game come to the West and try to compete. I want to see that be a two-way street. I don't know, half the time I talk about China in general, it's like you want them as part of the community, but you also don't want them to flood the community with their vast purchasing power and a vast number of potential people you could sell to. Like, the last thing you want in the video game industry is every video game to cater specifically to China's taste, but we do on occasion want a Chinese game to come to the rest of the world so we can taste a little bit of China. I guess it's like like restaurants. Like you want in the United States, I would say most of the time United Statesians are eating what they consider United States food, burgers and such. But every now and then they do want a taste of a different country, so they'll go out for Chinese, they'll go out for Italian.
Justice is mine.
But then there is also only in very rare places in the United States where you can go out for Yugoslavian or Indian food is moderately available depending on where you are. Like South African food, not hugely popular. Canadian food, not popular in the south part of the United States, certainly. So it's still not as diverse a buffet as you would like. Moving on, Japanese games, on the other hand, are a dime a dozen, and there are more and more coming to the West, and we like that. Oh, I like it. Let's see.
Don't mess with me!
I may lose here if I'm not careful. Deal 5 damage to damaged character. And in the turn. If only I had a spell that could do 5 damage to the enemy. Yokai Watch 2 Psychic Spectres is coming to North America and Europe on September 29th. Both of these say North America and Europe, so I imagine they were both announced by the same company. Monster Hunter Stories is coming out September 8th in North America and Europe. I think Yokai and Monster Hunters probably are both Capcom properties, so it wouldn't be so surprising. And then the last bit of news I have is the Intel Coffee Lake video CPUs are looking to have higher base speeds with base clock speeds with turbo. So it looks like the minimum, and this is again just kind of a rumor at this point. It's probably true, but I can't confirm it. But a minimum clock speed of 3.8 gigahertz, and that's the 14 nanometer process. So those are looking to be pretty good. Now, for me personally, I'm not really itching to buy a new CPU. I only personally want to buy a new CPU when I buy a new video motherboard, and I only buy new motherboards pretty much when I need to buy more new RAM and just reset everything. So I'm hoping 5 to 10 years if I can get away with my current CPU 6-core processor, and it seems mostly reasonable. Like, maybe at a certain point I will realize that it's just a necessity to keep balanced with the video cards. But ideally, I'm gonna get a 1080 or maybe an 1180 or a Titan X type video card, something very high that allows even newer games for the next 5 years to still run fine at 1080p, which is all I really need to go to.
Justice is mine.
Like, if I lose here, that will be it for this arena run. And we're still very much seeing that, and this is what I needed to fill out. Like the viewers complaining in the one run where I had like 7 losses in a row, it has been less than as successful as I would have liked it to be.
Justice is mine.
To play these arena runs. Hearth Arena is slightly helpful in time management at the very least. Instead of me agonizing and picking the wrong card, it's now telling me, look, these are the cards you should pick, play them. It frankly I think should just be the dummy option in the game in Hearthstone by itself. Just take Hearth Arena out of it and just say, look, Blizzard, you pick the cards. Just give me a random collection, I'll play it. Or not actually a random collection, but a collection of the best cards that are available to me. Do I honestly feel like I've been playing bad? Not really. I'm talking about the news, which I'm done with. That also points to this being a shorter run. We've got 7 people all online, and yet nobody's on the chat. And I've got the video working right this time too, so people should be happy about that one. And
My eyes are open. I love omelets.
like I can't really believe that I did that. That was
Justice is
very,
mine.
very embarrassing to realize I was uploading videos, and that was the very first thing I checked before I started streaming is, am I uploading videos? I suppose I could talk about I'm playing Wolfenstein 3D. It's a slight spoiler to say that I've ended up on the moon, which feels like potentially the end of the game. There's only 3 more levels. From what I can tell, I wouldn't be surprised if that becomes... Let's see. Deal 5 damage to an enemy minion. I don't think we're ready for that. So play this, and this, and this, and then the turn. Wolfenstein, the New Order, is a slight disappointment at this point because it feels very much you're literally fighting Space Marines, and it feels like they just ripped off Halo. I don't know how you get away from that and say that this isn't just they said let's just make a Halo game, let's just give BJ Blazkowicz laser guns. It has gotten so far away from what you thought Wolfenstein 3D was, and moved into something closer to Doom. Like, what's the difference between the guns in Wolfenstein and Doom? Doom has all these crazy rocket launchers and laser guns and things, whereas Wolfenstein, those guns were the normal guns, and this was mostly set in the real world. There was some silliness at the very end with Mecha Hitler in Wolfenstein 3D, but you're mostly just fighting normal Nazis, normal dogs. The New Order really destroys all of that. Immediately, because you're immediately fighting Nazis with better technology and more technology than
I'll take that.
than what they should have, and you're immediately fighting robotic dogs, half dog, half robot on them. And I suppose Return to Castle Wolfenstein, I don't think had too much of that. But should you really consider Return to Castle Wolfenstein or the Activision Blizzard Wolfenstein game from 2009 as things to compete with? I only need 1 more victory and I'm done with all the daily quests too. So if we're very, very lucky, we will finish this arena run with 1 more victory, and then we can mostly just dip our toe, I suppose, into doing the daily quests on European and Asian accounts. And as it's going, since nobody's caught me on chat. We'll wrap up pretty quickly.
None can escape my fury.
Besides those issues in Wolfenstein: The New Order, there is also the issue that it's such a half-assed game, I think. To cuss. I try not to. Speaking of censoring myself, the LA Noir episode that I spent a lot of time trying to blur just went out, and hopefully nobody complains about it, because after about the 5th time of trying to blur everything perfectly, I finally just said, I give up. Whatever. It's close enough. It's blurring 90% of everything. Every now and then you may get a frame where the blurring jumps.
I'll give it a shot.
Justice is mine.
That's simply a case of YouTube's system and their blurring system, which sucks. People are asking about why I don't edit. The only editor I actually have is the YouTube editor, which is total garbage. You can't use that. 5 to an undamaged character, or restore 3 health. Let's see.
Justice is mine.
Eyes are open.
And frankly, when you do complete cuts instead of blurring, you have to know where you're gonna cut and be prepared to cut. You can't just cut it because I'm talking live. So the whole live commentary gets thrown out the window if in the middle of it just goes boop, and it starts back and I'm halfway through a sentence that you don't know what I'm talking about. Like, you can try to mitigate it if you're very good. You can say, oh, this is a sex scene in this game, so I'll just go quiet here. I did it in The Witcher 3 because The Witcher 3 didn't have the blurring tool. You couldn't use it. It just didn't exist in YouTube. So in that case, I did say, like, after every scene where I was certain there was no more that was going to be shown, I'd say, okay, you just missed this, this, and this. And then it doesn't make sense now that the blurring tool exists, because I can't release the uncut footage and it make any sense. And that really sucked, particularly for Witcher 3, where the game kind of had some important scenes it was showing us nudity in it. Sadly, you just can't have that European mentality that the creators of Witcher 3 have, of toplessness is fine. It just doesn't play in so many other countries, the US being one of them, so you do have to be more conservative than even your culture would say is necessary. Alright, so we want to play a 4. I'm not going to cast a spell, so 4 and
Think.
let's see, so 4 this and
Beat it.
in the turn. And I should have actually saved this, come to think of it, because I should have played this and then this to destroy this.
I'm not ready.
And see, I only made it cheaper for that guy. Alright. There's literally nothing I can do right now, so we're gonna do this and this and kill this guy with this one.
looking at me?
Let's just force it. Let's just force it that way.
Job's done.
Trade. He's got the advantage though. He's got more cards than me. And more health. I just have a couple taunts on the guy. And maybe a trick or two I can play. And see, I don't think you can get a combo by using your hero power and then doing something. So, a new thing has come about. Apparently, people didn't fully understand how taunt worked. And not taunt, but freeze. And so apparently freeze is programmed in what I would argue is the wrong way to program things. I shouldn't have done that. I should have used this. So that if you summon something, if you have something that can attack but doesn't, and if you have something that has already attacked, and then you say did Cone of Cold that froze all three of these things, at the end of the turn, the one that could have attacked and didn't unfreezes immediately, whereas the one that already attacked and the one that was summoned can't have to wait a full turn. And that's important because cryostasis is one of the new cards that is coming out. Kill that. And cryostasis says give something +3/+3 and freeze it. So there's better understanding of a freeze mechanic, and the freeze mechanic has been around, I think, since the beginning of the game, which I just think it's probably programmed wrong, and I wouldn't be completely surprised if they came back and changed it and said, nope, that's a bug that we just didn't realize. Play this, this, and how do we want to do this?
Into the breach.
A 3/3 balance.
Farewell.
6
Justice
attack
is mine.
in the turn. I'm trying to win here, but odds are not great in our favor. We also need to check out to see if there's a tavern brawl. And we also need to play ranked, because we need to get back up to ranked since we are done with all of the month. The Asian account actually did make it up high enough in ranked play to earn a reward, where the European account did not. So we got the bonus stars and starts a little bit higher, I think, but there's
There's little time.
Is he gonna attack or is he conceding?
Get in there and fight, maggot! Bring me steel.
So we'll do this.
I'm ready to learn.
And this.
Need something unusual? Justice is mine.
We'll kill this guy, play this, and do this for full control. That way, in case he has a spell, hopefully it would only be able to do 7 damage instead of 8. Give your weapon poisonous.
I am ready to learn.
So now I can do
mine.
this.
I'll take
Kill that, and that.
begins.
And in the turn, maybe we can pull this off. We just gotta get really lucky.
Dance with me.
Let's see.
Justice is mine.
Do that. And it doesn't become... Yeah, it doesn't combo, so you do have to do one of those.
I'll take that.
Instruction begins.
I shall do as you say.
Job's done.
It didn't seem like it counted right there.
What you want?
Instruction begins.
Attack there.
I'll take
Victory. I'm a little bit amused as far as what I'm supposed to do with breaking up recordings. They're getting crazy, certainly. Like, odds are we are going to lose in this game, but we're already 13 minutes past the 45-minute mark. I have a lot of Hearthstone videos ahead of me. I do want to pat myself on the back a little bit. I'm finally kind of out of that summer slump that probably should have just been a summer vacation for a month, which is a ridiculously long vacation, but you know, if it's what I need, it's what I need.
Anduin. The light shall bring victory.
So I have been pretty consistently getting 5-6 hours of recording of Wolfenstein 3D. I mean Wolfenstein The New Order, and that's pretty good considering I'm not hugely invested in it, and I'd like to move down the path and continue doing things like that. I think I might just end a turn early. Not even bother to play this guy for 1 damage. Let's see. So yeah, I do want to maintain that. I do want to improve upon that. 5 hours is still not as much as you would like. Per day, like ideally 8+ hours of gameplay. Wolfenstein New Order is a newer game, so each one of those videos is like 5 gigabytes, so there's a limiting factor of just how much space you actually can have.
Pay attention, class.
Let's see, do I want to do a spell right now? Or do I want to kill this guy? I think I'm going to do this to get rid of him. And just play control.
It's boom o'clock.
Dang it. Alright. We're gonna
The
do
light
this,
protects me.
then this, and I guess I will go ahead and do that.
Justice is mine.
It's way too early to say it. This is how I jinx myself, but
I love omelets.
we're looking nice right now. Let's see. This
Justice
attacks
is
here
mine.
to destroy that. To then destroy that.
Of course.
I fight.
I'm kind of out of tricks at this point, but not in terrible position.
Dance with me.
Let's play this.
Or die, or both.
Attack here.
Justice is
Attack
mine.
here. Do this in the turn. If I play this, then this would be 5 plus 4, which would be 9. Plus that would be 10. No, that's not going to work now. Let's see. We have enough to play this first.
Out of my jungle.
And the biggest one we can do is... which one? 6, 4, 4, 5. It's probably the right one to pick there. And...
Need something. Justice is
and
mine.
here. There we go. What is it about a Tuesday? I started even a little early today. Loki hasn't been on the stream in a while. I don't know. Let's see. Tragic Master was here. Tactic Torn was there for a while.
Out of my jungle.
So, like, I get the feeling people want me to be on earlier, but I also get the feeling that if I come on earlier, people are doing their own daily quests, and that doesn't help. Let's see.
I must remain hidden to remain free. This is our town, scrub.
Yeah, beat it.
I'll take that. Justice is mine.
I think that might have gotten it. Because if I can play this, that'll give that unexpected boost to the gameplay. And see, this is almost getting back to the way I used to stream one of the previous experiments where I'm thinking, yeah, I'll just stream me playing the Asian and the European accounts, but since nobody's online and since we're just gonna be silent, there's really no reason to have have anybody online. Now it totally makes sense to kill this guy, so let's get rid of him. Cause I'm gonna go silent really quick here. I can already can totally feel it. And I do want to win, of course. Deal 5 damage to an undamaged minion. Give something +1/+1. Let's see. Give a random friendly minion +1 or do 5 damage. I'll do 5 damage. Like if this was a 12 too, I'm more than happy to do that, but oh, I should have killed this. Darn it.
Justice is mine.
I'm gonna have to pull out another trick. Like, of his 4 cards, he's probably can play something with a taunt. Or something. Something that can kill something. Or he can just heal.
I love omelets.
And I'm gonna keep this poisonous.
Drink the power.
Custom spell. Custom potion.
It's boom o'clock.
Excellent. Actually,
Well played.
that is an excellent
Don't touch the air.
twist. Because now it doesn't do 5 damage to me. Maybe cast a spell, get +2 attack. How many cards does he have left? 12? So there's still a lot that could happen.
I'm warning you. I'm unstable.
Justice is mine.
Don't touch the air.
So I use my poisonous.
You can't hide from me.
My shield for Argus.
Restore 4 health to each hero. How are we gonna do this?
Don't mess with me.
So we've got 6.
Side effects? No. Trust me.
Like, I've lost now. It was a long struggle.
I ain't talking.
A long struggle to get to this point.
It's time for a little blood.
But yeah, they've slowly turned the tables on me.
Need something unusual?
I only have 4 more cards. Well, 6 more cards, apparently. Interesting. Yeah, 6 more cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Hearthstone Deck Tracker just updated today, and it's potentially
Pay attention,
working.
class.
I am ready to learn.
I'm not ready.
I can throw everything I have at him, it's not gonna matter. The only thing could be Velspine Slayer, if I held on to something for Velspine Slayer, but I don't think that's even gonna happen.
Well played.
So, not a terrible arena run, certainly, but 4 victories with 1 being handed to you, it's not a great arena run either. Let's see, how much did I get? I got 85 gold that I can type in here, and the pack, which 185 technically is worth your money for the entry fee, but it's not getting the 150 back directly. And as long as we can keep on doing that, there's a reason for that. And we can see that the Tavern Brawl is not even going to be back for 19 hours, so maybe in 19 hours that is where the new expansion shows up. And maybe I'm doing it right by getting the daily quest done right now, so I have that extra time. Do you have an epic here? Bite weed. And how much of that disenchants? Actually, only 3 of those cards. Because this is Journey to Unguru, and I'm still filling in this thing. There is, I suppose, this level of each expansion where throughout the expansion, if you do arena runs, if you do tavern brawls, you do slowly fill out your collection. It's not perfectly paced, though. It's not like an average player would have a 100% collection by the time Journey to Unguru's expansion is old news. But it's better than nothing, I suppose. Speaking of better than nothing, we've got nothing left to do on the Americas account. So that's going to be it for this recording, and then we'll check out the Asia and European account in reverse order. There. That's it for this recording. Stay tuned if you're watching live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.